with a lot of people talking about the live-action Kim Possible movie. I rewatched Totally Spies. A show that's actually really similar to Kim Possible. They're both action comedy spy shows that are aimed at girls, but there are differences. There's different team-ups. Kim Possible, it's a girl and a boy team-up and a naked mole rat, whereas Totally Spies, it's a girl group. Kim Possible has much more of this 50s, 60s comic book influence, and Totally Spies is a lot more Charlie's Angels inspired. And I was fascinated by this because so many people online have talked about Totally Spies as this fetish show with tons and tons of fan service, and I wanted to see if that was true or not. So I rewatched an episode, Mommy Dearest, which is about the girls take their moms to a spa, and it turns out to be a front from one of their enemies who controls their moms into trying to eliminate them. I know, it's actually quite dark. But in all honesty, I wasn't picking up on super fetishy overtones the way a lot of people did. Yeah, the art style's attractive, the colors are bright, the girls are pretty. I felt like their moms looked like carbon copies of them, which is a trope that's kind of annoying to me. I thought, can't differentiate it a little bit more? But I digress. Yeah, there's stuff in there that a lot of people could plausibly find attractive, but I felt like that wasn't really the purpose of it. I felt like the pacing of the show is very good. It has a distinct formula to it, but I find that a lot of what people find really fetishy or fan servicey is part of the plot and also cultural differences, because the show's a French-Canadian collaboration, and France, I do know, is a lot less uptight about sex, even in kids' content, the way America's very not uptight about violence. So I think part of it's just cultural differences. And I felt like people could be attracted to anything. So, I mean, Rule 34 is if it exists, there's porn of it. Rule 36, I think it's Rule 36 is if it exists, it's someone's fetish. I mean, I'm sure someone has a thing for watching paint dry. I'm sure that's a thing. Someone, somewhere. Oh, watching paint dry, super attractive. But overall, I thought that Totally Spies was a fun, enjoyable show, and I actually like that it embraces its femininity, in that the girls have different cute outfits. Yeah, there's a lot of belly shirts, and I personally don't like seeing a lot of belly shirts because I think it's a little too fan servicey, mostly because I saw that a lot, especially in early 2000s cartoons. But I know, living in LA, I see a lot of people who dress like that in real life, so I'm sure part of it was the creators thinking that too. Oh, this is just a reflection of what's out there. It's possible. But I like that they do change up their outfits, and it's fun to see. I like the different cute outfits. I like the different disguises. They put on a lot of different disguises because the villains' plots are a lot of the times really, really weird. And I wonder if this shows some similarities to Sailor Moon that way, but I liked Sailor Moon more as a kid. I'm not a big fan of it now. That's just me. But Totally Spies, they get to have a lot of fun with the gadgets. The gadgets are usually very, very girly, something jewelry based or accessory based, but they're also weapons. That's a lot of fun because they're useful. They're not just there to look pretty. I like the prettiness of it. There is a bit of a superficiality to the show, I will admit that, but I never felt like it was done in an insulting way. I always felt like, yeah, this is a ton of fun. And a lot of girls do tend to like playing with fashion and beauty and all this fun stuff. I enjoy that to some extent too. But that's not the entire thing of what these characters are. Because they do have their own character outside of it. Because you get, well, they're not written with super complex character development or anything. Because you could even argue that the three of them are just different parts of one girl. The Powerpuff Girl is the same thing. Because you get Sam, who's more smart and bookish. You got Clover, who's more the party girl, who likes to flirt. You get Alex, who's much more the sporty one. So it could appeal to a different type of person. And there's fun in that. And I felt like it does embrace some of these cliches with femininity and these kinds of characters, but it feels like it has fun with it and enjoys it. It never feels like it's insulting. It never really feels like, oh, girls are just brainless shopaholics. I mean, there's other shows I feel like did that a bit more. But here, again, maybe it's the nostalgia goggles, but I feel like it's a perfectly fun show. And you get to see their day-to-day lives, you get to see the action lives, you get to see, there was always something different to it. It never felt repetitive to me. So, but so many people saw this fan service element to it. I don't know, I always felt like, I mean, looking back, I feel like stuff like Danny Phantom or the Chipmunks movie had much more of that going on. Because the Spies, while they're slim and pretty, they're not drawn super curvaceously like some of the characters in Danny Phantom are. And the Chipmunks movie has all these needless panty shots of the Chipettes, which is like, what the fuck? Yeah, Totally Spies has some weird imagery in it, but I think part of that's cultural differences. That's like American comic books. That has way more fan service going on than in this show. But if people discovered something about themselves through this, you know what? That's awesome. Yeah. I'll see odd imagery in kids' shows. I'll make fun of it. But for the most part, I don't think that would have been the intention. I think, honestly, generally speaking, with a lot of these shows, I think, okay, the intention is comedy. But art's subjective. It's a fun show. I'm not sure what people would think of it nowadays. Because, you know, there is a silliness to it. There is a bit of a superficiality. But it's fun, it's creative, it's weird. And I think it's a good show for girls. And, you know, boys too. Yeah, honestly, oh yeah, one more thing about it. Yeah, I know that sounded like a wrap-up, but I found it interesting that 50% boys and girls watch this show. While it is definitely targeted more towards girls, yeah, guys liked it because they found one of the girls attractive. At least I'm sure that's part of the reason. But it also has action. It has creativity with its villains and its gadgets. So there is plenty going on in here too. And honestly, I like that there's a bit of this broad appeal to it. Because I never liked stuff that was either exclusively for boys or exclusively for girls. I like stuff that has a bit of a mix to it. Because I wasn't super into Transformers. I also wasn't super into Rainbow Bright. I liked Barbie as a kid, but it never really stuck with me the way other things did. I liked the Powerpuff Girls more because it had more of this angst and rebellion to it. So, finishing up for real now. Totally Spies. I think either with the nostalgia goggles, I think you'll like it and find it fun. If you like the fan service, if you see that, by all means, good for you. But it's a fun show.